Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world at this moment. How are you? My name is Steve Olsher, and I'm super excited to have you here today as we will be talking about profiting from podcasts. And I got to tell you, there's a lot going on, of course, in the online world, but I don't know of anything that will help you secure thousands of leads and generate six figures this year in just 2 hours per week in the way that podcasts can do for you. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today is profiting from podcasts and how you can secure thousands of leads and generate six figures this year in just 2 hours per week. So hopefully that sounds good to you because we got a lot of ground to cover here, and I promise you this stuff works. It works for me, it works for my peers, it works for my clients, and it will work for you too. I promise you that. And I'm going to go over a few things here, not because I just want to brag and just be like, hey, look at me, but because I really want you to understand that the techniques and the tools and the shortcuts and the strategies that I'm going to teach you here today, they absolutely positively work. And this is a screenshot here of my database. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about who I am and what I've done and so on if you're not familiar with who I am. But this is a screenshot that I recently took here of my personal database. So over 100,000 contacts now, of which almost 63,000 have been added in just the last year. And more importantly, those leads translate to sales. So this is a screenshot of what we've done year to date here. And I got to tell you, if you're not getting roughly around $6 per year per subscriber, you're probably not doing as well as you could possibly be doing in terms of monetizing the visibility and the reach and the tribe and the community that you've been able to create around what you're doing. And so we're going to talk a lot about that, and it's my pleasure to be able to help you truly monetize the visibility that you can receive by leveraging the power of podcasts, but also just in terms of leveraging the hard work that you've put in to get to this point. So just going back here, I like to use $6 as a rule of thumb in terms of what per each subscriber should be worth to you per year. And that's, of course, not everyone is going to pay you any money at all, but on average, you're going to find that if you're at around $6 per subscriber per year, you're doing pretty good. And so this conversation, again, is really all about how you can secure thousands of leads and generate six figures this year in just 2 hours per week by leveraging the power of podcasts. And I'm super excited to teach you this, super excited to share with you how I got to over 100,000 contacts on my email list. And please know that outside of just a few Facebook ads, I do very, very, very little outside marketing. In other words, all of the leads and all of the sales, everything that I'm able to generate, I'm able to generate that through the power of podcasts. And so, again, super excited to have you here. I will definitely be answering your questions. So if you have any questions, pop them in the box. I'm happy to answer those for you as we go along here. And if my voice is okay and you can see the dollars on the screen right now, just give me a yes in the box. Just want to make sure that you can hear me okay. So just give me a yes in the box, and let's just confirm that you're seeing right now the dollar amount there on the screen. Okay, awesome. So lots and lots and lots of yeses coming in. Even a C for my Spanish-speaking friend there. All right, lots of yeses and lots and okay, awesome, great. So glad that's all coming through for you. Now, I also want you to think about for a second why you're here. I mean, I have a pretty decent understanding of why you're here, but I'd love for you to type it in the box in terms of why you're here. What are you hoping to get out of today's presentation? So I want you to actually take a second. I want you to type that in the box in terms of why you're here. I mean, there's a lot of things you can be doing with your time and with your energy and so forth. But I want to make sure that I serve you as best as I possibly can. So I want you to take a second and type in the box why you are here and what it is that you're hoping to get out of today's presentation. Because if you've been on a presentation with me before, then you know I like to keep things really, really interactive. If you haven't, then welcome, and of course I'm really, really glad you're here. But again, I want to make this super, super, super worthwhile for you. So just share with me exactly why you're here. So let's see, Doug. What's up, Doug? Wants to know about the connection between the audience and the list and the podcast. Greg wants to find out more about monetizing my time that I spend as a guest on other people's podcasts. Karen wants to learn how to connect to more people to help them in one particular health condition. Awesome. Sam, using one main method to get maximum exposure for yourself and for your clients. Awesome. This is a perfect place for you to be. You want to expand. Dr. Allen wants to expand visibility for his website. John wants to know better how to leverage the power of podcasts. Awesome. John Holder, sorry to throw out your name there, I should have just said John H. Absolutely wants to roll with podcasts and is ready to do so at last. Richard is saying he wants to know how to approach podcasters. Lloyd is saying to expand your reach and increase sales. Awesome. Okay, so these are all things that I have a very, very, very good feeling about in terms of we'll be covering it during today's presentation. And my hunch is, just based on my experience, that part of the reason why you're here is because you're probably tired of feeling like what I might call the world's best kept secret. And again, this is based on my experience of having done hundreds of these webinars and done live events for years and years and years. And that's a theme that I hear from a lot of folks who really want to leverage the power of this medium and new media in general. Just really tired of being the world's best kept secret and know they have something amazing to share with their tribe, and they have a mission and a message and they need to get it out. Perhaps also you've been spending money on other marketing initiatives, Facebook ads or email marketing, or hell, maybe you're even doing direct mail or SEO or Google AdWords, etc., and you're not getting the ROI that you want, and you know that you can be doing much better in terms of the performance can be much, much better in terms of the ROI that you get on the monies expended. So perhaps that's one of the reasons why you're here. Or maybe you're just curious about podcasting in terms of the medium itself, or maybe in terms of what it can be for you to be a guest on the world's top podcast. And my hunch is that you're also here because you really do want to understand how to get paid well for your expertise, your skills, and your abilities. And so just give me a yes in the box if one of these four kind of hits home for you, or if all four of them hit home for you. But if you're tired of being the world's best kept secret, if you're tired of spending money on other marketing initiatives and not getting the ROI that you want, if you're curious about podcasting, or if you really want to learn how to get paid well for your expertise, your skills, and your abilities, just give me a yes in the box there. I just want to make sure that I'm covering what it is that you want to cover here. All right, it's great. So lots, some do, see, that's me. All great points. Yes, yes, yes. 2 of the 4 getting paid well. Yes, okay, awesome. So lots and lots of yeses coming through there. And I will say this, look, reality is, if one of these 4 doesn't cover why you're here today, then I'd say this is probably the time just to cut, just cut it and go. I mean, really, with all due respect, I don't want to waste your time. I want to honor your time. I honor you for being here. And if one of these 4 doesn't resonate for you, then this is not the right place to be. So my hunch and my hope is that one of these 4 absolutely rings true for you, and that's my goal. My objective is to cover these as we move forward through today's presentation. And so, yes, we're going to be talking about the power of podcasting, and yes, we're going to be talking about how to leverage the power of podcasting. But just so we are super, super, super clear, I don't want there to be any, I don't want there to be any confusion at all here. This presentation is not about creating your own podcast. Can I help you do that? Of course I can help you do that. Do I have trainings that can help you create your own podcast? Of course I have trainings that can help you do that. But this presentation is not about creating your own podcast. I want to give you the easy button so that you can leverage the power of this incredible medium without having to do any of the work, which means let's talk about it from the other side of the microphone. Because yes, do I want you to create your own show? Heck yeah. I mean, I think at some point you should absolutely create your own show. But I do think that there are far too few people who take advantage of what's possible sitting on the other side of the microphone, which is being a guest. And so that's a lot of what I want to cover here today is, why you should think about it from the other side of the microphone. And again, you can create your own show. And I'm not suggesting that you don't. At some point, there's the right time and the right place to do it. But for most people who are just trying to get into this medium, and even those who have been in this medium for quite some time and aren't seeing necessarily the results that they want, sitting on the other side of the microphone is a great way to take full advantage of everything this medium has to offer without having to do any of the work. Because let's be honest here, as a guest on the world's top podcasts, you can benefit from massive visibility. Most shows today have thousands, some have tens of thousands, and a select few even have millions of listeners. So if you appear as a guest on these shows, I mean, I guarantee you this, even at the low end of hundreds of listeners, hundreds of downloads per month, I guarantee you if you're a speaker and you have the opportunity to speak in front of hundreds of people, that's not an opportunity you're going to turn down. And I'm going to talk to you about why these numbers are so much different than the other media available to you. And I'll just throw this little nugget out at you, which is when a show has hundreds of downloads or thousands of downloads or tens of thousands or even millions of downloads, think about it this way, which is if you have an email list, would you like to have a 100% open rate and a 100% click-through rate? Just give me a yes in the box. If you do any sort of email marketing, would you like to have a 100% open rate and a 100% click-through rate? All right, good. Yeah, lots and lots of yeses popping in there through the box. Of course you would, because that's what the holy grail there is of email marketing, which is when people actually look at what you send, right? That's what we're talking about in email marketing. When you look at the open rate and the click-through rate, is people are actually looking at what you're sending and they're taking action on it. Well, look, folks, when a show gets downloaded, that's the equivalent of a 100% open rate and a 100% click-through rate, because that person is raising their hand and they are saying, give that to me. So even if it's just a few hundred people, oh, God forbid, just a few hundred people who download a show, you got to remember, those are a few hundred people who have raised their hand and they have said, give me that. And they have said, I am interested in this topic. I am interested in this information. So even the smallest of shows, and trust me, the smallest of shows have hundreds of downloads. Most shows have thousands, most have tens of thousands, even millions. So, I mean, there are a lot of shows out there that have some really big numbers, but even those smaller shows with just hundreds of listeners, those are shows you absolutely want to be on, because the people who are listening to those shows, they are 100% in it to win it. They are raising their hand. They are saying, give me what you've got. That's incredibly powerful. Of course, as a guest on a show, you become an instant authority. You become a recognized expert in your niche just like that. Because what ends up happening is the host does their homework, right? The host doesn't just hand the microphone to anyone. So when they give you the microphone as a guest, the audience assumes, look, the host has done their homework. This is someone that the host wants me to hear from. And so it's an instant stamp of approval. You are instantly seen as a recognized expert in your niche. Of course, there's no cost. There's no cost to you to be a guest on these shows. You don't have to worry about Facebook ads. You don't have to worry about building your email list. None of that. To get that visibility, there's no cost to you. You show up, you talk, you share your brilliance, and then they take care of all the magic happening. So you get the benefit of being in front of those hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands, even millions of listeners that they have worked sometimes for years to cultivate that audience. And you just walk in and you go, cool, let me share my expertise, and you get the benefit of that. Of course, there's no travel involved as a guest. You can simply conduct that interview from the comfort of your home, of your office, in your pajamas, no hair, no makeup, nada. Just a microphone and a mouth, and you are good to go. Of course, appearing as a guest on shows can lead to sales. So leads and sales, leads and sales. And if you follow the process that I will teach you, you can generate, as I showed you, thousands of leads and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in sales in just a couple of hours per week. And then, of course, as I said, there's no work, right? There's no work required. They do it all, right? You go on, you broadcast your brilliance, you share your message. They then do everything else, right? They take that file, they edit the file, they add the intro, they add the outro, they do the highlights, they upload it to their host, they then post it on social media, they create a blog post, they do the keywords, they do all of it. All you do is show up and talk. They take care of absolutely everything else, and you get the benefit of all of their efforts. It's a beautiful thing. So can you create your own show? Of course you can create your own show. Should you create your own show? That's a conversation for another day. I would say yes, at some point you should. But for right now, what I want you to do, and even if you have your own show, is I want you to leverage other people's work and get the visibility that you deserve by appearing as a guest. So yes, you can, but at this juncture, I would say why. Now, I have appeared on over 300 shows in the last 24 months. Shows like Hal Elrod's, Achieve Your Goals, ClickFunnels with their Funnel Hacker Radio, Natalie Systems, the Suitcase Entrepreneur, Founder Magazine. I mean, just on and on and on. I'm not going to sit here and show you all the appearances that I've had, but just understand that I don't just talk this talk. I walk this talk. I mean, this, as I said, this is the only thing that I do, with the exception of a few Facebook ads. I don't do anything else other than appear as a guest on shows to generate the leads and the sales that you saw earlier in the presentation. And what's pretty cool is that when you start getting this sort of visibility, amazing things happen, right? I've been able to share the stage with people like Brendan Burchard. I mean, this is Brendan actually speaking at my event. So I do an event, or I did an event, I haven't done one since 2015, but I did an event called Internet Profits Live, P-R-O-P-H-E-T-S, Internet Profits Live. And over the years, we've had really amazing people share the stage there. People like Vishen Lakhani and Brandon and Mike Vilsame and Lewis Howes and Russell Brunson and so on and so forth. And so as what I really just want you to understand this, which is as a credible authority, as an expert, as being seen as an expert in your niche, it's amazing what can happen. People take your phone calls. People respond to your emails. People accept your invitations to speak on their stage. I got my TED Talk as a result of the visibility that I'm able to create for myself. Here's Russell Brunson speaking at the last Internet Profits Live. Here's me with Gary Vaynerchuk, who I've known for a number of years. And so it's amazing what can happen when you get the visibility that you deserve. Things like this happen. Maybe you're familiar with Founder Magazine. Founder Magazine is it's a pretty cool publication that features just awesome people on the cover. People like Ariana Huffington and Gary Vaynerchuk and Richard Branson and Tony Robbins and Tim Ferriss and so on and so forth. And, oh, by the way, this guy. So how did someone like me end up on the cover of Founder Magazine? Well, the honest truth is it has a lot to do with the visibility that I've been able to create for myself. And so this is what I want for you. Again, I promise what I'm going to teach you works for me, it works for my peers, it works for my clients, and it will absolutely work for you too. Now, for those who don't know my story, I actually launched on CompuServe's electronic mall in 1993. How many of you guys remember CompuServe? Just give me a yes in the box if you if you remember CompuServe. And yes, Doug, I think it is clearly because I'm cute that I get cover stories and those sort of thing. But you know, how many of you guys remember CompuServe? Just out of curiosity, you know, way back in those days. Well, that's how long I've been online. I mean, I've been online since 1993 when we launched on CompuServe's electronic mall. And that company that we launched on CompuServe eventually became liquor.com. That domain I picked up in 98. It's kind of a long, convoluted story, and I won't go into it, but I just know at this juncture that I actually still own liquor.com. It's based out of San Francisco. I'm based in San Diego. Still own liquor.com, and we've got over 2 million people on the database there. We've got about 36 million uniques that come to the site. Bottom line is, if anybody knows the online world, I absolutely do. I mean, and we've tried everything over the years, from Google AdWords to SEO tactics to Facebook, and of course all through social media, and of course email marketing, and so on and so forth. I mean, we have spent millions and millions and millions of dollars over the years testing what works and what doesn't work. I promise you I'm fully qualified to teach on this subject. I'm also the New York Times bestselling author of What Is Your What? Discover the One Amazing Thing You Were Born to Do, the Business Technology Book of the Year, Internet Profits, the World's Leading Experts Reveal How to Profit Online. And, oh, by the way, yes, I do have my own show, which we do as a live radio show that we then repurpose into a podcast, which is called Reinvention Radio. And we've done over 400 episodes at this point, and we've had amazing guests on over the years, including people like Simon Sinek, and, well, there's Hal Elrod, and Ariel Ford, and JJ Virgin, and so on. And here's a look inside of our studio. Again, we do this as a live radio show. That's on my left, your right, that's Mary Goulet, my co-host. On my right, to my left there, as you're looking at the screen, that's JJ Virgin, who came in studio. And then on my far right to your far left, that's Richie Ote, who's also our co-host. We kind of do our show morning zoo style, if you will. But this is where JJ Virgin stopped in studio to share her story, which was amazing. But I also want you to understand that it's not just the online stuff that I do. As I showed you, I've been doing things with Internet Profits Live and doing in-person events now for years. And this, not terribly long ago, we did an event called the New Media Summit, which is a brand new event for us. And it was an awesome event because we had the opportunity to give a select number of attendees the opportunity to meet face-to-face with people like Michael O'Neill from the Solopreneur Hour, and Dana Malstaff from Boss Mom, and Nathan Latka from The Top, and Dougie Sandler from the Nice Guys on Business podcast, and 40 podcasters in total were there. And a small group of attendees, 150 attendees, had the opportunity to meet with them one-on-one and pitch them on who they are and what they do, and leave the event with bookings in hand. That's how bullish I am on this media, and that's how bullish I am in terms of getting you onto these shows as a guest, because I know that this opportunity is something that you absolutely cannot deny, and I want to make sure that you get the face time you deserve with these icons of influence who can help make you famous literally with the click of a mouse. So what I want you to understand, though, more than anything else, is that, really, I've tried all of the various marketing strategies over the years. Again, I don't need to go back through the list, but just understand that appearing as a guest on podcasts is the single most effective marketing strategy that I have ever leveraged, bar none. I'm not even talking about just having my own show. I'm talking about just being a guest. And that's why this topic gets me so excited, because I know that you deserve more visibility. And I know that if you could just share your mission and your message with the masses in a more consistent, powerful, and yet cost-effective way, magical things could happen for you. And more importantly, magical things could happen for those who are literally waiting for you to show up in their life. And so what we're going to cover here today is, really, why now? Why now should you be pursuing the power of this medium? Why you? Why are you the perfect guest that hosts are looking for right here and right now? Number three, we're going to talk about the dirty industry secrets that no one wants to talk about, but they are absolutely prevalent. And then number four, we're going to talk about how to get paid by appearing on the world's leading shows. So just give me a yes in the box if this sounds good. Just give me a yes in the box if you're fired up to get to get over get through this and start moving. Yeah, all right, awesome. So lots of yeses in the box there. Awesome. Yes, sirs. Oi, oi, oi. Thank you for that, Dougie. All right, awesome. Let's do it. Let's move forward. So this is what we're going to be covering here today. Why now? Why you? The dirty industry secrets no one wants to talk about, and of course, how to get paid for your visibility. And I want to teach you how to make that happen. So why now? First and foremost, Edison Research releases a report called The Infinite Dial. And in The Infinite Dial, they do a pretty extensive study on the podcast industry. And what they found is pretty darn interesting, because we're kind of in that hockey stick phase right now as far as listenership goes. 21% of the people that they polled, those 18 and over, now say that they listen to podcasts on a monthly basis. Well, that's up 4 points from just a year ago. Of those who listen to shows, people listen to an average of 5 podcasts a week. That means that most people are listening to over 20 podcasts per month. These are good numbers, folks. But here's where it really gets exciting, which is that 41% of those who listen to podcasts have a household income of over $75,000, with 15% of them having an average household income over $150,000. But this is where the rubber meets the road, which is that 2/3 of these listeners took action on the ads that they heard. In other words, 2/3 of every, listen, basically 66%, 66 out of 100 people who listen to podcasts took an action on an ad that they heard while they were listening to that particular show. In other words, people have money, right? 41% household income over 75K, 15% over 150K. They have money and they spend it in droves. So there's another study out there that shows that 130%, not 130%, let me rephrase that. People who hear a podcast advertisement are 130% more likely to take action than those who hear that same advertisement or recommendation given through email or through social media. In other words, podcasting, by being heard on a podcast, people are 130% more likely to take action than if they see or hear your exact same message through email or through social media. That's powerful. And this is why I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that if you follow the steps that I will teach you, you can quickly monetize the visibility that you will generate by appearing on the world's leading shows. But 2/3, that's an obnoxiously huge number. 2/3 of listeners took action on the ads that they heard during the podcast. Now, why else should we be thinking about this now? Well, we are in the middle of what I would call an unprecedented shift from push marketing to pull marketing. Push marketing is broadcast marketing. It's radio, it's TV, it's newspaper, magazines, etc. Even Facebook, when you come right down to it, right? Because you go on to a particular channel, whatever that channel might be, and the broadcaster pushes out at you the message they want you to see, the message that they want you to hear. And you, of course, then have the choice of, well, do I stay on this channel or do I leave? But I didn't ask for what's there. It just came at me. If you turn on ABC and Dancing with the Stars is on, you didn't ask for it to be on at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. It's there, whether you like it or not. Now, you can choose to switch channels, but that's push marketing. Whereas pull marketing is people consuming the education, the information, the entertainment, etc., whenever they want from their preferred device. In other words, they get to decide what they listen to, what they see, when they want to see it, and on their preferred device. This is so, I can't even begin to understate the power of what's happening here, because people have the power to choose. This is something that has never happened before. It's like Netflix versus, like ABC, right? It's like Spotify and SoundCloud versus your local radio station. I mean, this shift is massive, and it is going to have such an impact on marketing, because people are going to completely eliminate commercials. They're not going. That's why Hulu and why Netflix is doing as good as they're doing, because people don't want to be bothered. People value their time, and so this push, the shift from push to pull marketing is really unprecedented, and you're going to start to see all of the numbers. I promise you're going to start to see all of the numbers on traditional broadcast media continue to dwindle. I mean, they're dwindling now, but they're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And we can put our heads in the sand and we can pretend like it doesn't exist, but I promise you this is what's happening, because here's the car, right? Do you think you're going to be listening to the radio, AM or FM? I mean, if you've got the choice of just right here on your dash, just clicking on it and going to your CarPlay dashboard and literally just clicking on podcasts, when you have the choice of how to consume the content, the information, the education, the entertainment, et cetera, that you want, are you going to sit through commercials, or are you just simply going to take the information, education, entertainment, et cetera, that you want when you want it and on your preferred device? When it's sitting right here on the dashboard, I promise you that what's going to happen to traditional broadcast media is it's absolutely going to plummet in terms of listenership. Many of you have cars right now that look like this. And then the autonomous vehicles, right? When you are going from point A to point B, and you don't have to drive, and you can literally do anything you want in that car, well, what are you going to be doing? Well, look here. This guy is sitting here right now, surfing on the keyboard. And what's he doing? He's online, because Wi-Fi is going to be a standard accessory in 250 million cars rolling off the assembly line in the next 5 years. And those cars are going to include these autonomous vehicles. So I promise you that when you are in a position to do something other than driving, you're going to be looking on your device, whatever it is. If you've got a screen in the back of the car like they do here, or if you've got an iPad or an iPhone, or whatever it might be, you are going to be on that device. And what are you going to be doing? You're going to be looking for entertainment, for information, for education, etc. And while I can't guarantee you with a 100% certainty that if you are in this new media landscape, you will be found, there's a chance you will, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that if you're not there, you absolutely won't be found. And so if you think about the bell curve, right? I mean, you guys are all familiar with the bell curve. If you think about the bell curve, we are in that uptick right now, right where the if you think about it from like a hockey stick standpoint, that's where we are right now in the bell curve. We are on the uptick of that hockey stick. And I promise you that listenership is simply going to continue to explode insofar as audio is concerned. With CarPlay, with autonomous cars, with Wi-Fi being a standard accessory and 250 million vehicles rolling off the assembly line. And, of course, let's not forget about this whole shift from push to pull marketing. It is absolutely unprecedented, and I can't underestimate the power of it. All right, let's move on here for a second, because I just want to make sure that what we are looking at is, well, of course, the same thing insofar as what I'm seeing insofar as how you can get to be a guest on these shows. Now, I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted here. I'm reading the notes here. And, Lawrence, look, to your point, yes, it is certainly possible that for a brief moment in time, some of the stats may not necessarily gel with what I'm saying. There are a million different reports out there, and I get that. And some of the reports may, in fact, show different stats. But this is, I promise you, that's an anomaly. That is not sustainable. What will end up happening is, in short order here, those stats will reflect exactly what I'm saying, regardless of which report you read. I'd love to know the source of that particular report, because I try to read all of the reports that I can on this industry, and everything supports what I'm saying here that I have read. but I'm sure that there are other reports, and I'm happy to take a look at them. So I'd love to see what those are. But I promise you, in terms of listenership, it's not sustainable. Everything is going to be going on demand, which means it's going to be coming into this media as well. So look, reality is, yes, it's a possibility that in some minute, some niche markets, you're seeing some stats that may not necessarily gel with what I'm saying. That's possible. But I promise you that across the board, 99% of the reports, 99% of the stats that you'll see out there absolutely do. Now, as far as being a guest here on the world's top shows, reality is you don't need to be famous. And as a matter of fact, it's better if you're not. And this is a secret that a lot of people won't be talking with you about, because a lot of people are going to push you to be, this sort of person, right? You got to be a Seth Godin or a Tim Ferriss or a Gary Vaynerchuk or a, Marie Forleo or a Ariana Huffington or a Danielle Laporte, etc. And yeah, I mean, look, I get it. These folks are awesome. They do awesome things. They teach a lot of awesome stuff. And I have great admiration and great respect for all of them. But reality is we don't need to hear from them anymore. And neither does the listening audience, right? I mean, we know, Tim Ferriss, okay, we're going to hack everything. Gary Vaynerchuk, we're going to hustle. It's like Seth Godin. I mean, we get it, okay? We know who these people are, and we know what they stand for. How many more times do we need to hear from them? The answer, in my opinion, is not many. But we do need to hear from you. We absolutely positively need to hear from you, because your story is the story that needs to be told. Your story is the story that people haven't heard. And your story is the story that can have dramatic impact on those who have literally been waiting for you to show up in their lives. And so just understand that in this medium, you don't need to be famous. You don't need to have a best-selling book. You don't need to have a TED Talk. You don't need to have a big email marketing list. You don't need to have a big social media following. You don't need any of that. You just need passion and fire, and you need to be able to articulate your story, because we want to hear it. We've shared amazing stories on Reinvention Radio of people that you've never heard of before. And frankly, those are my favorite episodes, because we take great pride in breaking stories that others haven't heard. Anyone can have a Tim Ferriss or a Gary Vaynerchuk or whatever on their show, right, for sure. But again, how many more times do we need to hear from them? We take great pride in breaking stories that people have never, ever heard before. And we want to be one of the first outlets to feature what it is that you're doing in the world and get you your 15 minutes of fame that you rightfully deserve. And so reality is, if you don't need the TED Talk, you don't need the best-selling book, and you don't need any of that stuff that I listed, and you don't need to be famous, then what do you need? Well, all you need is this, which is you need a mouth, you need a message, and you need a microphone. And my hunch is you probably have all three right now. You probably don't have a fancy microphone, and that's okay. You don't need it. The phone in your pocket can serve for now as your microphone. Should you invest at some point in an inexpensive USB type mic? Sure, why not? But you don't need that. The phone in your pocket right now will suffice. Do you have a mouth? I'm assuming that you do. And do you have a message? And I venture to guess that because you are here today, you have a mission and a message that you want to share with the masses. So if you have a mission, you have a message, you have a mouth, you have a microphone, you've got absolutely everything that you need right now to get booked as a guest. Secret number 2, getting booked is actually harder than meets the eye, and people don't want to talk about this. It's not as easy as people think. And there's a few reasons for that. But can you just call up somebody and say, hey, put me on your show? You could. Can you just simply meet someone at a live event and just try to track them down after their talk and stand in the line of 50 people and get your 2 seconds with them to say, hey, put me on your show? Can you do that? Sure. Could you call them up? Sure, you could do that. But reality is, getting booked is not as easy as people make it out to be. Certainly not getting booked on the shows that you might want to get booked on, because what a lot of people don't understand is how to get booked. They don't understand how to properly pitch the media. They don't understand how to pitch the hosts and the producers whose shows they want to be on. And it all really begins with understanding the power of a hook, right? Because you need to have a hook. You need to have something that, as my friend Sam Horn would say, passes the eyebrow test, right? It's like it creates that intrigue. It gets you to raise your eyebrows where you're going, tell me more about that. And if you want to get booked on the world's leading shows, if you don't have a powerful hook, you're going to have a tough time getting booked. So what's an example of a powerful hook? Well, for me, one of the hooks that I've used successfully over the years is the hook of why college is the single worst investment that a parent can make. Now, notice I didn't say a child, but I said a parent. Why college is the single worst investment that a parent can make. And it is a bad investment when you come right down to it, because 85% of those who graduate with a four-year degree do not operate in their field of study within 5 years of graduation. So the ROI most parents are getting, the return that they're seeing, is not this awesome return of their kid going out into the world and doing amazing things, but the return of that, to that kid to their couch and living in their basement. And that's a pretty powerful hook. I mean, that's what people want to talk about, especially around, the end of the summer as people are thinking about going back to school and so on and so forth. And that then ties into my answer around, well, how do we make it work for them? Well, we make it work for them by having them discover what their what is. Because if they go to school and they understand what their what is, then it becomes a worthwhile investment. So that's the hook that gets me in to talk about how to help people discover what their what is. So you need a powerful hook. You also need a media one sheet. You need a media one sheet, something that on one piece of paper describes who you are and what you've done and the value that you bring to the table. I promise you, most people will go into those pitches without a media one sheet, and it makes you look unprofessional. If you want to get booked on the world's leading shows, you need to have a media one sheet. And this is an example of a media one sheet that my team created for Dr. Elisa McGill. And as you can see here, it's got a description, it's got her most popular topics, it's got the value add for the audience, testimonials, and then, of course, the contact information. So if you want my team to create a media one sheet for you, hold tight, because I'm going to show you how you can get a media one sheet for free. So our team can actually do this for you, and if you hold tight with me here, I will show you how you can get our team to do this for you for free. So you need that media one sheet. You need a good hook, you need a media one sheet, and you need to know how to pitch. So this is a photo that we just took from the new Media Summit not terribly long ago here. And this is an opportunity for the attendees to pitch the icons of influence. So on the right there, you can see Jody, who's an icon of influence, and she's being pitched right now on how, on being a guest on her show. And so at the New Media Summit, we actually give you guys the opportunity to pitch the icons of influence one-on-one, just like you see here, and pitch them on who you are and what you do, and leave with bookings on the spot. And so to the right is Paul Culligan, and then to the right of him, I think it's Justin Shank, and these are all the icons. We had 40 icons at the last New Media Summit, but you have to know how to pitch. And how long did they have with the icons? 2 minutes. That's it. 2 minutes. And then they had to go on to the next icon. So if you cannot articulate who you are and what you do, the topics that you cover, have something that creates intrigue, and then be able to articulate the value add that you provide for the audience in 2 minutes or less, you've got work to do. And that's, of course, what we help you do. But you need the hook, you need the media one sheet, you need the pitch. So these are all the things that you need. Yes, if you're world famous, you can probably just call somebody up and say, hey, I'd love to be on your show. But most of us aren't. But if you have those three things, the hook, the media one sheet, and the pitch, the odds of your being booked has dramatically increased. Now, secret number 3, and these are some things that, well, frankly, should excite you, right? Because reality is, and this is, a lot of folks won't teach you this, that it's really easy to generate real income real fast being a guest. And the people who know this are the people who aren't teaching it. because look, let's be honest, getting a coveted appearance as a guest on a top show is something not everybody's going to get. Most shows do one episode a week. And so there's only so many people who can get on to those programs. So the people who understand that you can leverage the power of podcasts to generate real income real fast, they're not teaching this stuff because they want to hold those coveted appearances for themselves, because they know that there are a limited number of spots to go around. I'm going to help you break through that so that you can get the appearances that you want. But I promise you that being a guest on a show is an easy way to generate real income real fast. And so let's talk about the money, because realistically here, your time is worth money. Your energy is worth money. So if you're going to invest a half hour or 45 minutes or an hour being on a show as a guest, I want you to get paid for that. And I don't want you just to get paid. I want you to get paid really, really well. And so I want you to understand how it adds up, because every time I appear on a show, I average about 250 leads. Now, that's not downloads. That's not, people who are listening. That's actual people who provide their name and email address. So every time I appear on a show, I average about 250 leads. Now, I'm going to step you through how I monetize that visibility. Sound good? Just give me a yes in the box if you're with me, if you want to understand how you can monetize this visibility. And of course, if you have any questions, pop them in the box there as well, because I'm happy to answer those for you. So yeah, all right, awesome. So lots of yeses are coming in, absolutely yeses. All right, awesome, absolutement. Love that. Perfect. All right, so let's talk about how to monetize your visibility. Now, again, I appear on a show. Roughly 250 leads will come in. Sometimes it's a lot more, sometimes it's less. But on average, about 250 leads come in every time I appear on a show. Now, I'm going to step you through the world's simplest funnel. So when I appear on a show, just using an example here of a personal development show. So if I'm talking about how to help people discover what their what is, we'll talk about the what is your what framework. I'll talk about helping people discover their gift and their vehicle and the people that they're most compelled to serve, and so on and so forth. And by the time we reach the end of the show, people are kind of chomping at the bit, like, man, I really want this book. I want to go out. I want to get this book. And so they're already thinking in their mind, I want to get a copy of What is Your What. They're already thinking this. So when the host grants me permission, and again, that's a really important statement. Write that down. Make sure the host grants me permission. Write that down. So when the host grants me permission to say, hey, if you want more information about me, you can go here or there, what do? Well, I say, yeah, of course. If people want more information about me, well, let's go to, let's do the things, let's take things a step further. Rather than just go to my site, why don't you go to whatisyourwhat.com and grab a free copy of the book? Not just a chapter, we actually give away the whole book. So when I'm on a show and I'm talking about the What is Your What framework and so on, I will then invite people to go get a copy of What is Your What. So I'll say, go to whatisyourwhat.com, grab a free copy of the book. I'm happy for you to have it. And of course, thanks, Mr. and Mrs. Host. I really appreciate the time, for being here. So of those people who hear the show, about 250 of them will go to whatisyourwhat.com to pick up a free copy of that book. Now you're probably wondering, okay, well, what's this $7.99 thing? What's the $49 course? Well, this is the world's simplest funnel. So what I do is on the thank you page for whatisyourwhat.com, after you opt in, I then give you the opportunity to get a free hardcover copy of the book. And all you have to do is pay $7.99 for shipping and handling. So here you go, whatisyourwhat.com, free copy of the ebook. Turn around, offer them a different version of the exact same resource, which is a hardcover copy of that book. They don't pay for the book. I give them the book for free. They pay $7.99 for shipping and handling. Well, guess what? If they buy the book, I then turn around and offer them a $49 online course. And it's the world's simplest online course, because all it is What is Your What live, so to speak. It's the Reinvention Workshop online course, which are videos of me teaching the What is Your What process to a group of people. And that's all it is. And here's where the magic happens. Of those 250 people, like clockwork, about 20% of them buy the book. So I immediately get income of about $400. Oh, and guess what? About 25% of those people buy the $49 course. So about another $600 in income, which means every time I appear on a show, like clockwork, I can count on about $1,000 in income. Now, how long does it take me to do that interview? I mean, let's figure an hour max. So if I do 2 1-hour appearances per week at $1,012 per appearance times 2, that's about $2,000 per week. So if we take a couple of weeks off for the holidays and we don't do any interviews, $2,000 per week is over $100,000 a year. And again, it happens like clockwork. And you remember how I said earlier, how you can secure thousands of leads and generate 6 figures this year in just 2 hours per week? Well, let's go back to the money, right? Because I showed you the money at over $100,000. But again, if each appearance is 250 leads for me, and I do 2 appearances a week, that's 500 leads a week, which means 25,000 people are coming onto my email list just from these appearances. Now, if you remember much earlier, I showed you I have over 104,000 people on my email list right now. This is just a fraction of what I'm able to do because it all becomes viral. Once you get out there and you give your books to people, what do people do? They send their friends to those pages. And when they buy stuff from you, if they like it, what do? They tell their friends about their experience with you. They share it on social media and so on. And so this $2,000, again, over 50 weeks, which adds up to over $100,000 a year, it actually earns me much, much more than that. Because there are more products, more programs, more services that I offer. This is immediate, friends. I hope you get that. The 25,000 leads and the $100,000 a year, that's immediate income. That does not include any of the back end. And I don't want to inflate these numbers for you and give you something where you're like, oh, that's, he can do that, but I can't do it. No, this is something that I promise you you can do. And you can build that funnel of an offering, a different version of the same offering that you sell, and then a different version still of that same offering. I promise you, if you sat down on a Saturday, by Sunday night, you could have that very, very simple funnel in place with an under $10 offering and then an under $50 offering. I promise you that's something that you can do. Now, let me give you a bonus secret here, because I wasn't planning on doing this, but I just want to share this with you, which is that, look, the best shows for you to appear on aren't easily found. And I want you to take this in for a second, because, a lot of you guys might be thinking, well, heck, I can just, find the shows and just, I can just solicit them and I can just get onto that. Well, sure, you could, but the best shows for you to appear on aren't easily found, and they're not showing up in the rankings. I mean, like, if you look at the top 100 shows right now, are you going to be a guest on any of these shows? I don't think so. I mean, with all due respect, Mark Maron is probably not going to have you on as a guest. Joe Rogan is probably not going to have you on as a guest. You're not going to be on any of the NPR shows. Tim Ferriss is probably not going to have you as a guest. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, I mean, he tells stories. That's not even a guest show. The Gary Vee show, bottom right, I mean, is he going to have you on as a guest? Probably not. Dave Ramsey, he talks about money and those sort of things, and he has people who call in. It's just kind of a record. So in other words, if you look at all of these shows, the shows that are going to come up in the search are the shows that you probably aren't going to be able to get on. And that's what nobody wants to talk about here, is the shows that absolutely 100% positively are the shows that you want to be on aren't the shows that are showing up in the search, because there's this ascending spiral which works to the benefit of shows like this that I'm showing you on the screen right now, but work to the detriment of the shows that are actually awesome shows that you should positively be on. Because what happens is when a show is a popular show and it shows up like this, well, as new listeners come into the mix, they find these shows, they listen to them, that increases the number of downloads, which means it keeps them as popular shows. And then as more people listen to those shows, it increases that show's visibility. And so all of these popular shows stay popular shows because the downloads and the visibility continues to ascend. So how do you break into that? Well, if you're, like most, it's super hard. But I will say this, which is this is a medium that you absolutely positively want to be leveraging. I mean, if you think about being featured on a blog as an example, sure, you could be featured on a blog and you could try to make that happen, but there are over 4 billion websites. I mean, that's a lot of competition out there to be found online. In podcasts, at last count, there's about 400,000 podcasts. So 400,000 versus 4 billion, right? And that's a pretty big difference. But where it gets even more interesting is that of those 400,000 shows, less than 10% actually create new content. And so, in other words, most shows stop after 7 to 9 shows and never create another show. So only about 10% of those 400,000 shows are consistently creating new episodes, which means there's about 40,000 active shows right now. So the odds of being found in this medium, 40,000, versus being found in the blogosphere, with 4 billion websites. I mean, to me, if I'm playing the lotto, I'm taking my 1 out of 40,000 chance over my 1 out of 4 billion chance all day long. So again, these are the top shows that you're not going to necessarily, I mean, look, all the power to it. If you can get on these shows, great. The majority of of us of us layfolk won't end up on shows like this. So what do? You target the shows that have awesome audiences and are looking for guests just like you. I mean, like Jeff Brown with the Read to Lead podcast. I think they've had over 5 million downloads on that show. Michael O'Neill with the Solopreneur Hour. He's had over 8 million downloads on that show. Dana Malstaff from Boss Mom, incredibly popular show. Reinvention Radio, we have tens of thousands of listeners. Doug Sandler's The Nice Guys on Business podcast. They're doing over 1 million downloads. Thriving Launch with Luis and Kamala Chambers, and Michael Neely's Consciously Speaking, and JJ Flassane's Fit to Love, and Jay Wong with Interchange Maker, and JV Crum with Conscious Millionaire. I mean, the shows that I'm presenting to you here, these are all awesome shows with loyal followers, loyal subscribers, people who tune in on a consistent basis. But you'd never know about these shows because no one wants to talk about the shows that don't show up in the rankings. Look, some of them do off and on, but for the most part, it's these shows that fly under the radar where your biggest opportunity is right now to not only get booked, but to monetize your visibility in the way that I showed you, because these shows have loyal, faithful audiences, and they want to hear from you. They want to hear your story. And so I want you to think about it from the standpoint of, look, it's easy to get caught up in those vanity metrics. Millions of downloads on Joe Rogan, 30 million downloads. Okay, that's all well and good. But what if you got on a show that had 5,000 downloads, right? If you wanted to reach 5,000 people and you took out Facebook ads, again, you can go up or down on these metrics. I'm not going to argue whether or not you think this is high or low. But to get a good qualified lead on Facebook, you're going to be spending $4 on average to get a good quality lead on Facebook. So $4 on average to generate a good quality lead, to get in front of the right people and have them provide their name and email address. You're going to be spending $4 all day long, which is going to be about $20K to generate that on Facebook. If you're a speaker and you want to get in front of 5,000 people, and let's say the average speaking gig that you do is 50 people, you got to do 100 gigs to get in front of 5,000 people. I mean, you think about the travel and the expense and the time away from your family and everything else, and that's an inordinate amount of time to get in front of that many people. You want to hire a PR firm to get you booked on media or wherever it might be. I mean, you could do that, but they don't guarantee that you're going to get booked. They're going to take your money, and at a minimum, you're going to spend $5K a month to get a decent PR firm, And yes, you could hire a booking agency. There are agencies that specialize in getting you booked on podcasts. But at a minimum, you're going to spend $1,000 a month. And most of them say that they'll get you on 1 or 2 podcasts a month. So let's just take an average here, and let's just say it's 2, per month. It would take you 5 months and $5,000 to get booked on just 10 shows. Believe me, visibility costs with everything else except for getting booked as a guest on the world's top shows. And so my question to you, and you can just give me a yes in the box here if you're still fired up about this, which I hope that you are, and I appreciate you sticking through, to this point here as we're going on just about an hour now. But would you like to reach thousands of people for free? Just give me a yes in the box. If you would absolutely positively like to reach thousands of people for free, well, give me a yes in the box. All right, so lots of yeses coming in. Absolutely, absolutely. Sam is wondering, why would those shows stop? In other words, of the 400,000 shows that start or that are in existence right now, and only 10% are still active, why do they stop? They stop because they don't get the results they want as quickly as they want. This is a long tail game, people. I mean, even if you're a guest on a show, you're going to start on the smaller shows before you build up the visibility in terms of getting onto shows that have more and more and more and more listeners. You're not, if you were, let's just say you want to get booked on TV, you wouldn't have wanted your first TV interview to be on Oprah. And frankly, Oprah wouldn't have booked you anyway, because you would have had to have done hundreds of other shows in order to get to that level. And so I want you to just remember that the shows that stopped because things take time. They didn't see the instant results where all of a sudden 20,000 people were listening to their shows. That's why the shows that are still in existence are so awesome to be on, because these are people who are committed to their craft. These are people who have spent years building their audience and building that connection with their tribe. So when you appear on these shows, you're getting the benefit, of course, of their listenership, but you're also getting the benefit of the host's commitment to that show and their commitment to continuing to promote it and their commitment to continuing to do whatever it takes to get their shows on week in and week out. And so if you want to reach thousands of people for free, look, of course you have 2 choices. You can do exactly what I've shown you here how to do today, and you can try to do this yourself. You can absolutely reach out for people who have shows. Reach out for the hosts. Reach out for the producers. I highly encourage you to be a guest on the shows. Absolutely 100% unequivocally. I mean, if you're an author, or if you're a coach, or if you're a speaker, if you're a small business owner, you need visibility. Visibility is the lifeblood of your business. If you don't have visibility within short order, you won't be in business. People need to know that you exist. And so whether you do it with me or you do it on your own, I don't, look, of course I'd love to have you in my fold. Of course I'd love to teach you what I know after having done this for years. We launched our first podcast in 2009. So I've been doing this for a long time. As I said, we launched online in 1993, for God's sakes. If you're going to learn from someone who has done it. Learn from someone who has your best interests in mind. Learn from someone who wants to help you get the results that you desire. So understand, yes, you can do this on your own. I don't know why you would. If I have the opportunity to buy the fast pass at Disneyland where I take my kids, I do that all the time, because the idea of waiting 2 hours in line to watch the Frozen Royal reception, I'd rather you put needles underneath my fingernails. It's like, please just torture me. The idea of being in line for 2 hours to watch a 3-minute show is painful. So if you're like me and you want the fast pass and you want to cut to the front of the line, then you're definitely in the right place, because what I want to talk to you about is the easy button here of teaching you how to profit from podcasts. And that is what the training that I offer is all about, which is teaching you how to leverage the power of podcasts. It is the most comprehensive training available for leveraging the power of podcasts and appearing on the world's leading shows. and also teaching you how to monetize your visibility. Now, profiting from podcasts is all about appearing as a guest. I also have a training that I'm going to give to you, which can teach you how to sit on the other side of the microphone and create your own show. If you want to create your own platform, I'm going to bonus you with one of our trainings, which shows you exactly how to do that. But just understand that the profiting from podcast training itself is incredibly comprehensive, and it sits in a really nice training portal broken down into 9 core modules in 3 phases. The first phase is all about positioning, the second phase is all about presenting, and the third phase is all about profiting. So in the first phase, what you will learn is your positioning. We will help you nail your topic of influence, which is the 2, 3, or 4 word area of focus that you concentrate on. We will complete your Media One sheet for you. So my team will complete the Media One sheet for you. We will help you create a moniker if that's what you desire. Like my moniker is America's Reinvention Expert. If you've been struggling to try to figure out how to brand yourself, we can help you with that as well. Of course, the areas of focus, what it is that you'll talk about, and more importantly, how those relate to the audience so that you can articulate the value add for the audience when you come on as a guest. You have to be able to articulate why you should be a guest on their shows. They don't care about you. They care about their audience. So you have to be able to articulate who you are, of course, what you do, of course, but most importantly, the value add that you bring to the audience and the takeaways that they will get from seeing you and hearing you on that show. Phase 2, presenting. Once you have the understanding of what the right shows are and you have identified them, we'll help you connect with the icons, the hosts and the producers who are the decision makers for putting you on those shows. You will nail your pitch. In our community, you will practice your pitch. So you will get feedback. You'll be able to sit on the hot seat. You'll be able to work with us to make sure that you have got your pitch down pat. Of course, once you get onto the show, you have to be engaging, right? You have to understand how to engage the audience in a way where they're like, oh my God, I need to connect with this person offline, because ultimately that's what you have to do. Having a conversation with the host is great, but if you can't bounce them into your ecosystem, all of that effort is for naught. So you have to be able to master engagement so that you can bounce them from that one platform into your world, and we'll give you templates that you can literally just fill in the blanks on that show you how. So literally you just fill in the blanks and you have all of the words that you need to get booked on the shows you want to appear on. In the last phase, we talk about profiting. You know, you need lead magnets. We talk about lead magnets. You're probably familiar with what a lead magnet is, but you may not be familiar with the way that we do it and the way that we get our opt-in rates to be consistently over 80%. 80%, 80, even to cold traffic on the lead pages that we create. So we will help you with that. We're going to talk about setting up your CRM, your customer relationship management system, so that you can communicate with folks on an ongoing basis. Help you create an indoctrination sequence so that once people come into your fold, you develop that all-important know, like, and trust factor over a specific period of time, because you want to turn these people from just curious, sort of, I'm kind of interested in what it is that you're doing, into loyal, borderline fanatic members of your tribe. And the only time that you're really going to be able to do that is in that first 7 to 30 days. So you cannot underestimate the power and the value of a really good indoctrination sequence, and I'll teach you how to do that. Of course, then we shift into ideation for the creation of products, programs, and services that you can sell. So again, from top to bottom, we go through the positioning, the presenting, and the profiting over 9 modules. This is a very robust training program. Now, let me go over the bonuses that are included with profiting from podcasts, because I think these are not only, of course, complementary, but really, really crucial to your success in crushing it in this landscape. So number 1, we do monthly open office hours. So these are open office hours that I host. This is not my, my coach or anything like that. This is actually me. So you'll have an opportunity to meet with me once a month, and we, with our community, sit on that hot seat, get feedback on the modules, go over some questions that you have, whatever it might be, This is your opportunity to work with me personally. You want to practice your pitch? Cool. You got a question about technology? Cool. Whatever it is, the open office hours will help you. Now, bonus number 2 is the ultimate directory of powerful podcasters, big-time bloggers, and social media stars. In this directory, we have done all of the work for you. So you'll find 240 people who can literally make you famous with the click of a mouse, and you get their contact information, their detailed description, and so on and so forth. And we even went the extra step, and we give you their email address so that you know who to contact. We give you all of their information. Bonus number 3, if you don't like your website presence right now, we will actually install and publish for you your very own Web 3.0 template that you can fully customize. So this is your site. We will install this and publish this for you on your domain. It's yours to keep. There's no monthly fees, no anything. It is our gift to you. We will install it. We will publish it. All you have to do is add your words, add your pictures, and it's done. So if you need a new website, this bonus is going to absolutely be something you'll love. Now, if you want to sit on the other side of the microphone and you want to understand how to leverage the power of new media and create your own platform, we'll also give you access to push button influence, which is an incredibly comprehensive training that teaches you everything that you need to know about leveraging the power of new media and creating your own platform. When we sold push button influence, we sold this alone for $2,000. It is our gift to you. So I'm not going to go into detail on what's in it, but just know that it is an incredibly comprehensive training program that teaches you how to sit on the other side of the microphone and create your own platform. And if you decide that you want to create your own platform, we'll go even farther here by setting up your own podcast channel. So as a bonus, we will set up a brand new podcast channel for you. We will take care of all of the tech. You go out and you try to hire that, I promise you, a la carte, you'll pay $2,000 for somebody to set that up for you. When you enroll in Profiting from Podcasts, you will get this as a bonus. And your Media One sheet. We will create your Media One sheet for you when you enroll in Profiting from Podcasts. So just like you see here, this is the template. My team will do this for you. So you will have your own Media One sheet. We're also going to give you a lifetime listing on Perfect Podcast Guest. This is I got to tell you, I mean, lots of producers and hosts and reps turn to Perfect Podcast Guest to find guests, and reps turn there to, and I got to tell you, it's something you could pay for, but why? We will give you a lifetime listing. And this is another way for you to get booked on shows. It will connect you with the hosts and the producers who are looking for guests. So we will give you a lifetime listing on this platform. And then bonus number 8, I want to make sure that you get your questions answered right out of the gate. So I will personally work with you on a 20-minute call. So you'll have 20 minutes with me, and honestly, if you know anything about me, you know that 20 minutes with me is like an hour with anybody else. We will get a ton done in that 20 minutes. So I will give you a 20-minute one-on-one strategy call. I only do this for people who enroll in Profiting from Podcasts, and I'm only doing this on today's webinar. So please make sure that if you want all of these bonuses, right, including the New Media Summit, which is a huge bonus, but if you want all of these bonuses that I'm running through, you've got to enroll now before the end of this webinar. You've got to go to profitingfrompodcasts.com, profitingfrompodcasts.com. And the only way that I'm going to give you all of these bonuses is if you enroll at profitingfrompodcasts.com before the end of this webinar. So the other huge bonus is the ticket to the New Media Summit. Now, this is turning out to be my favorite event. I mean, I've done a lot of events over the years, but this is I absolutely love this event, and it is the premier event for learning live how to leverage and monetize the power of new media. And it's the only event where you can meet the icons of influence who can literally make you famous with the click of a mouse by featuring you on their high visibility shows. This is a photo we took at the New Media Summit. I mean, it's a smaller, intimate event, 150 attendees, 40 icons of influence. You will meet, just like I showed you earlier, you will meet one-on-one with these icons, pitch them on who you are, what you do, and leave the event with bookings in hand. Again, more photos here of some of the icons, meeting with folks. That's Jonathan Milligan there. I showed you Michael Neely earlier. He was there. And this is Michael O'Neill from the Solopreneur Hour. Again, it's the only place where you can meet one-on-one with the world's leading podcasters, pitch them on who you are, what you do, and get booked on the spot. And I promise you, if you come to the New Media Summit and if you implement the teachings that I share with you, you will get booked. Kristen Maxwell came to the New Media Summit. She got 15 bookings from the summit. Jeanette Anderson came to the summit. She got booked on 17 shows. Heidi Forbes Esti, she came all the way from, well, not at this point, but she's from Finland, recently came here to the States. She got 20 bookings at the New Media Summit. And Joy Chang got 33 bookings. I promise you that if you implement what I teach you, exactly what I do, this is what I do. It works for me. It works for my peers. It works for my clients. It will work for you too. Joy followed these exact steps. When she first started, she couldn't even articulate who she was and what she did. But we worked together on this, and I helped her to articulate exactly who she is and what she does. And she left the event with 33 bookings. I want you to imagine for a second, I mean, just assuming using round numbers here, that there are 1,000 people who tune in to each of the shows that she's on. 33,000 people will be hearing her message. 33,000 people who have raised their hand to say, yes, I want that information. I just want you to imagine for a second how that sort of visibility would impact your business. If you're an author, how many more books would you sell? If you're a coach, how many more clients could you secure? If you're a small business owner, how much more traffic could you get to your site or to your store? And the answer is a lot. And at the New Media Summit, attendance is limited to just 150 people, as I said. But reality is that a lot of people who came to the first event have already signed up for the next one. So right now, we have less than 70 seats available. So we have less than 70 seats still available for the next New Media Summit. And those seats are going to go fast because it's coming up. We're going to start marketing it. It's taking place in April. And we're going to do it in San Diego. So April 2018, it's coming up. If you were to buy the ticket a la carte, you would spend almost $5,000 for that ticket. But when you enroll in Profiting from Podcasts, you get that as a bonus. So all in, you get the Profiting from Podcasts training. You get the directory of influencers. You get the website template. You get push button influence training. You get podcast channel installed for you, the media one sheet, lifetime listing on perfect podcast guests, the 20-minute call with me, a ticket to the summit, over $15,000 in real value. You hire this stuff out a la carte, and I promise you, and if you bought some of the stuff a la carte, this is what you would pay. But right now, on this webinar, and on this webinar only, you can receive everything not for $19.97, which is what we sell just the Profiting from Podcasts training for. And when we launch this again, you'll see it's $1,997. As I said, the push button influence training itself sold for $2,000, plus the ticket, plus the site, plus the web, plus the podcast channel, et cetera, et cetera. All in, we're looking at over $15,000 in real value. But you can enroll for just one payment of $1,497. So if you go to profitingfrompodcast.com, and I'm going to keep an eye on what's going on here because I have a huge bonus if you're one of the first 8 to enroll today. If you are one of the first 8 to enroll today, I've got a huge bonus for you that I know you're going to love. But I'm going to wait here for a second, and I want to go to the questions box. I'm going to answer any questions that you have. But hopefully you can see how putting this to work for you could absolutely help you generate massive visibility quickly, and it can absolutely help you generate leads, thousands of leads, and tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales by appearing as a guest on these shows. Now, I'm going to go to the questions box here. And let me just take a look and see what questions there are. And absolutely. So, all right, yeah. So what if you've never, okay, so the question is, what if I've never appeared on a show before? Does this still make sense for me? Well, the answer is yes, absolutely. It still makes sense for you. And it still makes sense for you. Why? Because there's no better time than the present. And you're not going to necessarily get booked on the world's, leading shows that have millions and millions and millions and millions of downtime, of downloads. You're going to start out on some of the smaller shows, right? And the smaller shows, what a lot of people don't talk about, the smaller shows, they need you just as much as you need them, just as much as you need them. And so, yes, you get, the training, of course, but understand that when you come to the New Media Summit, there's lots and lots and lots of time to talk to the icons and to hang out with them. There are no iron curtains there. They are a part of the audience. We break bread together. We dance together. We hang out together. So those relationships, I promise you, will lead to getting booked on shows. Absolutely 100%. And, one of our icons, I showed you Doug Sandler earlier from, I mentioned his show, the Nice Guys on Business podcast. It's over 1 million downloads now. He was he was one of the icons of influence at the last New Media Summit. And he's booked a lot. I mean, I think over 60 people ended up on, on one of his shows. J.V. Crum, who has Conscious Millionaire. I think he's had over 70 people now on one of his shows. But on those shows, most of the people who got booked onto those shows, on Doug's show or JV's shows, etc., they had never been on a show before. So this is like, I'm telling you, it's like the fast pass. You get to cut to the front of the line right away, straight away. You get to cut to the front of the line and meet the icons of influence who are looking for guests just like you, and you will end up getting booked on their shows. So yes, even if you've never, ever, ever been a guest on a show before, no worries. It makes perfect sense for you to do this, to come to the New Media Summit and to meet them. And actually, Doug from from the New Media Summit, from the Nice Guys on Business podcast, he actually started a show specifically just with the attendees from the New Media Summit. So I guarantee you, everyone who comes to the New Media Summit gets booked. Absolutely 100% positively gets booked. But look, I'm a big fan of those who take fast action. And I applaud you for being with me all the way through here. And I applaud you even more if you're willing to take action here and invest in the Profiting from Podcast training. And I will put you on Reinvention Radio if you're one of the first 8, because I love people who take action quickly. So if you are one of the first 8 who enroll today, right now, before this webinar is over, I will put you on Reinvention Radio. So you have a guaranteed booking. You don't have to wait until April. You don't have to wait. You have a guaranteed booking on Reinvention Radio. I'm happy to have you join us. I'm happy to have you on with us. So I would love to have you on. And Doug would love to have you on also. So if you're one of the first 8, not only will you get a guaranteed booking on Reinvention Radio, Doug will also give you a guaranteed appearance on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. So right out of the gate, you've got 2 high visibility shows that you can appear on. I mean, think about what it would cost to reach the thousands and thousands of people that our 2 shows just on our own reach. I mean, forget about everything else in the training and monetizing your visibility, being able to articulate who you are, and the website and the podcast channel and everything else. Just being on our shows will get you massive visibility. You try to buy that sort of visibility, I promise you, you would spend thousands of dollars, if not a heck of a lot more. Now, again, you have two choices here, and the two choices are: you can continue to go down this path on your own, and I'm certainly I applaud you if that's the path that you want to go down. But my hope is that you see the value in letting someone who does this professionally teach you exactly what to do and how to do it. And I hope that you see the value in all of the bonuses that we're providing for you so you can hit the ground running fast. And I hope that you see the value of taking quick action and getting booked right here, right now on Reinvention Radio and on Doug's show, The Nice Guys on Business. So again, what you'll receive: the Profiting from Podcast training, the directory of influencers, the website template, the push button influence training, the podcast channel being built for you, the media one sheet, lifetime listing on perfect podcast guests, the 20-minute call with me, a ticket to the New Media Summit, an appearance on Reinvention Radio, and an appearance on The Nice Guys on Business. Over $20,000 in real value here. And if it makes it easier for you, well, let's give you some payment options. So you can do one payment of $14.97, or you can do three payments. You could do three payments of $5.49. If we need to make it even easier for you, you could do 6 payments of $282, or do the 12 pay of $149. So you can get started, and of course, everything is fully guaranteed. So if you enroll in the program and it is not absolutely everything that you want it to be and exceeds your expectations massively, let us know within the first 30 days, and we fully stand behind everything that we offer. And so the Profiting from Podcast training is no different. For $149, you can get started right now. And I will stick around and I will answer any more questions that there are. But go to profitingfrompodcast.com. If you are one of the first 8 and you enroll during this webinar, during this presentation, you will get those bonuses of appearing on Reinvention Radio, and you will get the bonus of appearing on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. I don't know what you're waiting for, really, because again, as soon as this webinar ends, I am taking those bonuses off of the table. So lots of people are saying, okay, cool, yeah, man, all right, so orders are starting to flow in. That's awesome. Welcome to Dana. Dana, awesome having you in as a part of the Profiting from Podcast training. Welcome, I'm just checking my phone here. Welcome, Michael. Awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad you decided to pull the trigger. So that's 2. Oh, there's another one right there. Welcome, Jessica. So that's 3. So right now it looks like we have 5 left. 3 just came in, and my phone is a little bit slow. There's always a delay between the orders coming in and my seeing them on the phone here. So as of right now, we've got 5 left. Let me go to the questions box, and again, go to profitingfrompodcast.com. And remember, there's 4 payment options. You can, and we actually have a 5th payment option. You can actually go through PayPal, and you can use their Bill Me Later option, and you can take up to 6 months to pay. So we've got a video on there that shows you how you can use PayPal's Bill Me Later function. And that way you've got 6 full months. You can go through the whole training. You can go through all of this without making a single payment for 6 months. Or you can choose our 1 payment option of $14.97, the 3 payment option at $5.49, the 6 payment option at $2.82, or the 12 payment option of $149. And again, everything comes with our full 100% 30-day money-back guarantee. Let me go to the questions here. So again, go to profitingfrompodcast.com, and when this webinar is over, there's another order right there from Barbara. Welcome, Barbara. And so we've got 4 left of the 8. So again, go to profitingfrompodcast.com. Let me go to the questions. And so, so Sam has a question. I help with presentations and pitching from the stage. Oh man, Sam, I need you, brother. I am a decent salesman, but good Lord knows I could do better. I definitely need you. I'm interested in using this program to help my clients get more exposure through podcast bookings. Will your support include this type of use? I mean, sure, yeah. If you have clients and you want to help them get more visibility, well, you need to know how to do it yourself, right? So the answer is absolutely 100% heck yes. Absolutely, because you will learn exactly what to do and how to do it so that you could teach your clients how to get more visibility through podcast bookings. And I can tell you from personal experience and from working with, I mean, we've had hundreds of people go through the training. And I promise you that no matter what it is that you want to do, you want to fill a live event, being a guest on a podcast is a great way to do that. My friend Tiamo, some of you may actually know Tiamo, he's a great guy. Tiamo had a live event, and part of his marketing strategy was to get people to the live event. He appeared on podcasts, and simply by appearing on one show, he was able to get 17 people to come to his live event simply because they heard him as a guest on a podcast. My friend Noah St. John, who is an author, wanted to sell more copies of his books. He decided that, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to appear on podcasts to get more visibility for my book. He sold hundreds of copies of his book as a result of appearing as a guest on podcasts. If you have a company and you're looking to get more visibility for a company that does, I mean, God knows, I mean, like anything, like Meet Edgar. Maybe you've heard of Meet Edgar. That's a SaaS, a software as a service program, where basically they automate social media marketing. So you use Meet Edgar to put in posts for social media channels, and you tell Meet Edgar when you want those posts to go up, and it automates that process for you, and it takes care of it all for you. It's a pretty cool thing. Well, Meet Edgar did not have a large marketing budget by any stretch of the imagination. They had actually no marketing budget, really, when you come right down to it. And they decided they were going to appear on podcasts to get the word out about what it is that they were doing. And what ended up happening was they got booked on over 100 shows. They came on to talk about the power of social media, the power of automation, and so on. And then they, of course, talked about their program, which is Meet Edgar, that automates all of that for you. And as a result of being on those 100 shows, well, they were able to generate over 100,000 leads and sign up over 1,000 new customers. That resulted in over $3.5 million in revenue simply by being a guest on podcasts. Pretty cool. If you're a coach, getting clients, it's a great way to get clients. My friend Scott Oldford was a guest on Entrepreneur on Fire, which is a larger show, right? And one of the engagement strategies that you'll learn, and one of the enrollment strategies that you'll learn through the training, it talks about free strategy sessions as a way to enroll people into your ecosystem. And I don't necessarily recommend this for everyone, because if you're on a more popular show, you really do need to have a pretty good back end to make that work for you. But Scott talks about chatbots. That's what his company does. They focus on chatbots. And so those are those things you see in Facebook Messenger, where you go there and then it starts getting this whole string of, a whole conversation going with you. Well, that's a chatbot. Well, his company sets those up. And he was talking about chatbots on Entrepreneur on Fire. And he said, look, if you think this is something that you would be interested in, let's make an appointment and let's chat. And my team would be happy to talk with you. And let's see if we can't get you set up with a chatbot for you and your company. Well, that's what he did. And 90 people booked strategy sessions with him. Now, that's a lot of sessions. And again, if you don't have the back end for that, probably not the best idea. But if you do, or you have the time to take those many, that many calls, because again, the right show can generate a lot of calls for you. He ended up booking, not everybody was a fit, but he ended up booking over $100,000 in business. He ended up booking over $100,000 in business as a result of being a guest on just one podcast. So if you can appear on the right show, again, I promise you it can work really, really well for you. And then, the other thing to think about here, there is something called the echo effect. When you appear on traditional media, if you appear on traditional media, that appearance goes away within short order. Not only that, but if you're not watching it at that particular moment in time, you may never be found if you weren't. Because a lot of those don't get archived. A lot of those don't end up where, okay, I can see your appearance on ABC, or, none of that. It's really interesting how traditional media, it doesn't get archived. There's no echo effect to it. With podcasts, you have to understand that your appearance lives on forever. Those appearances never go away. They are permanently online. They are always accessible as a blog post. And so there are a number of my clients who have appeared on shows over the years, and they've gotten business years later from appearing on a show. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, he ended up with a client who heard him on a show that he was on over 2 years ago. And that client ended up booking him and hiring him as a coach, a consultant, to the tune of a $50,000 annual contract from an appearance that he was on more than 2 years ago. So don't underestimate the power of the echo effect. It's huge. It is huge. So look, reality is, I don't want to belabor this. I can't even imagine what else I could say here to convince you other than to say that the world needs you. Really, the world needs to hear your mission and your message. There are people who are literally waiting for you to show up in their life. There are people who are literally waiting for you to show up in their life. And I promise you that if you appear on the right shows, you can reach those who need you most. And when you think about where you invest your money, when you can get started, again, I'll show you here the payment terms, but if you can get started here, literally for $149, where else are you going to see this type of return? When you think about where you invest your money, if you do any sort of Facebook advertising to get any sort of meaningful visibility, I promise you're spending at least $500 a month. If you're doing email marketing right now, you're probably spending at least $100 a month just for your CRM. So ask yourself, if I have the choice of being able to invest a little something today to get the visibility that I deserve so that I can start generating leads, generating sales, and reaching those who need me most, is it worth $149 for you to get started right now? And I will tell you the answer to that is it's certainly worth it to Stephanie, because Stephanie just enrolled, and it's certainly worth it to Sam. All right, Sam, awesome, because Sam just enrolled, and it's certainly worth it to Bill, because Bill just enrolled. So if I remember my counts now, I believe that's 6, so we've got 2 left. So we've got 2 left right now. Where if you enroll right here, right now, and again, you can choose 12 payments of $149. That's fine. You can choose 6 payments. You can choose 3. You can choose 1. Whatever you want to do is fine. But if you enroll before the end of this webinar and you're one of the next 2 to enroll, we've got 2 slots left, you'll get those extra bonuses of the appearance on Reinvention Radio and the appearance on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. So 2 guaranteed appearances right now, in addition to all of the other bonuses that you'll receive, right? Again, the Profiting from Podcasts training, the Directory of Influencers, the Web 3.0 site, push-button influence training, the podcast channel, the Media One Sheet, lifetime listing on perfect podcast guests, 20-minute call with me, 1 ticket to the New Media Summit, an appearance on Reinvention Radio, all in over $20,000 in real value, not including appearing on the Nice Guys on Business if you're, well, one of the next 2 to enroll, because again, we've got 2 left. So we've got 2 left, and by the time the webinar ends here, these bonuses as well are going to go away. So I really do hope that you decide to invest in yourself, and more importantly, invest in reaching those who are literally waiting for you to show up in their lives. I know you have a mission and a message to share. I know you were meant and made for something extraordinary. I want to help you get the visibility that you deserve. Again, 1 payment of $14.97, 3 payments, 6 payments, or 12 payments, or do the PayPal bill me later and make no payments for 6 full months. Profitingfrompodcast.com. Profitingfrompodcast.com is where you want to go to enroll. Profitingfrompodcast.com. Let me check the questions box one more time here, just to see if there are any other questions that came in. And Teresa, welcome into the program, which means we've got 1 left that will include the bonuses. Again, just 1 left right now that will include the bonuses. Profitingfrompodcast.com. I'm not seeing any other questions in the box. So I think we're just going to wrap it at that. And I welcome those who enrolled. I welcome those into the program. I welcome you into my world. I look forward to having you join us at the New Media Summit as well. And my team will be in touch. So welcome to all of those who enrolled. If you're on the fence right now, stop being on the fence. Jump off. Get in this. Profitingfrompodcast.com. Take advantage of all of the bonuses, including 1 left for the appearance on Reinvention Radio and the Nice Guys on Business. All right, my friends, I'm Steve Olsher. I will talk to you really, really soon. Take care, everybody.